So this question is about a, This question is about a rocket that is a model rocket that is launched from somebody's backyard, and it is written in function notation. So this h means the h is a function of t or depends on t. It's really a fancy way of saying y. Or the height equals negative 16 t squared plus 32 t. All of these can mean the same thing. Now, what the first question is find the zeros of the function, which tells us when the penny will hit the ground. So if the rocket's going to go up and come back down again, and the height is going to be 0 when it reaches the ground. So we know for part A, the height equals 0. So I'm going to make height equals 0, and now I've got a quadratic equation that I'm going to solve. And my technique for solving it is to factor. So I take out the negative 16t, it's a common factor of negative 16 times t, and that leaves me with t minus 2. So I'm using the zero product rule here to solve each of these two individual pieces. Negative 16t has to equal 0. So t equals 0 over negative 16, which means that t equals 0 seconds. The second bracket, t minus 2 equals 0, so t equals 2. So it's going to land on the ground at the start and when time is 2. And you're going to see these types of problems in physics equations. If you're taking Physics 11, Physics 11 and 12, you're going to see some of these types of problems creep into your work. So the second part of the problem, it's the same rocket that goes up and back down, but instead of finding where the height is 0, we're going to find out where the height is 16 feet. So that means in this case we know the height is 16. And again, we solve the equation by factoring. But remember, when we factor, we need a 0 on one side of the equation. So I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. There we go. And now I'm going to factor. I'm first going to common factor. So a negative 16 is common. Common factor first. And that leaves me with t squared minus 2t plus 1. Watch your signs in here because we're factoring out a negative. All the signs switch inside the bracket. Then I'm going to keep factoring. And it's a simple trinomial. What multiplies to give me positive 1 and adds together to give me negative 2. And the answer is negative 1 times negative 1. So I have two brackets, but both of them are the same. So t minus 1 equals 0, so t equals 1. And it would be the same solution if I did it again for this bracket. So there's one answer, which is when t equals 1, it's going to hit 16. So what is wrong with my picture here? Well, 16 looks like it should be 2 spots that it's equal to, and I've only got 1. Well, this was just an arbitrary line that I drew in. Actually, it must be this point. So the only place it hits 16 is when t equals 1.